former #1 overall picks on the edge, with Myles Garrett already at a Pro Bowl level. The Browns' other first overall pick, Baker Mayfield, now has 9 first-round picks as teammates around him. So lack of talent in Cleveland shouldn't be an issue in 2021. Baker was also expected to start negotiating a long-term contract extension, but no progress has been made on that front. Greg Jennings, how far does Cleveland need to go this year for the Browns to commit to Baker long-term?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of how far they need to go. I think it's two things. When you look at organizations and players, and if they exemplify that, then they're in a good position. That's winning and then growth. When you start to add players and personnel and your team starts to look a lot better, not only on paper, but even on film and on tape and against opponents, you better be a part of that, and you better be a huge reason why they look better. And so for me, it's about Baker Mayfield and his growth. You can take them taking a step back. They were 11-5, but 3rd in the NFC North. Like that, I mean, I'm sorry, in the AFC North. So when you look at that, they have the potential to go the opposite way because teams can still be better than them. However, Baker doesn't have that grace. He can't go the opposite way. He has to continue to get better. And when we think about what Baker Mayfield did, which was really good, but is it of standard when you talk about elite quarterbacks in the National Football League? No. He threw for 3,500 passing yards. He threw for 26 touchdowns and a career best 8 interceptions, which was his low. So he's thrown for more passing yards in his career. He's thrown for more touchdowns in his career. So he has to make a better jump, a bigger jump. But if they win, if they continue to win at a high clip, then that gives him grace. But he can't fall off, even if their record doesn't show that they are a better team. I think Baker Mayfield is being kind of paused and halted out because they want to know our team is getting better, but are you truly the reason why we're going to win? And quarterbacks in this league, you got to be able to get the ball and put the ball in their hands and say, go win the game. Is that truly Baker Mayfield? He's shown signs of it, but can he do it consistently enough to where he's deserving of the long-term deal?
You said it correctly, can't go the other way. And that would be my answer to this question. What will it take for the Cleveland Browns to commit to Baker Mayfield long-term? You can't go the other way. But with that being said, that is a lot of pressure that will now be on Baker Mayfield because you know what? Baker Mayfield is aware of the fact that he can't go backwards. Baker Mayfield is aware that the spotlight has been on him from day one coming into the National Football League. Baker Mayfield knows that for some strange reason, people love to criticize and really, well, dangerously close to overly critiquing him. It just is what he's earned or what he's become. I don't know why it is, but people, we are infatuated in the media with covering Baker Mayfield. In this season, this past season, Baker Mayfield quieted a lot of the noise that has come his way because we were on the borderline, cusp of, is he a bust? Like, what is he going to do? Is he even a franchise quarterback? I don't think that we knew the definitive answer until this season. And then you really had to take a good look at him and say, okay, he did get a ton of help from the running game. The running game did help him to take launch for his career this season. But make no mistake about it, Baker Mayfield made a lot of plays for this team, came through in the clutch for these guys more than one time during the course of this season, and he got them out of the first round. Well, got them to the playoffs and got them out of the first round of the playoffs. He's got to get out of the first round of the playoffs. He's at least got to get to the second round of the playoffs, in my humble estimation. So I do attribute it to the success record-wise because, to me, I think he had a ton of assistance getting to where he got to this past year. And now that wisdom, that maturity, that experience starts to kick in this year, in this season of Baker Mayfield's career, where you should start to see, as you mentioned, Greg, that nice jump, that large jump that says definitively this is a franchise quarterback. This is a guy that can lead this team. If he shows those things, this Cleveland Browns team, with the type of talent that they have on their roster, should be able to at least match what they were able to do last season.
Yeah, look, you guys are right in that he can't go backwards. And yeah, backwards theoretically would be losing in that first round. But I think they just need to make the playoffs. And there are a lot of factors that could come into play in that regard that have nothing to do with Baker. So I'm really looking at his individual play. All right, last year, I remember saying when OBJ got hurt, Odell Beckham Jr., I said I think Baker will be better without OBJ. Not that OBJ wasn't a great individual player, but his celebrity, his presence, the fact that Baker seemed to look up to him, I think that had Baker looking for him when he shouldn't have been. He should have been just trying to make the right play, and he was looking for OBJ in my view. And sure enough, he was much better without Odell Beckham Jr. So what I want to see now is this year, Baker, when we've got OBJ, show me you're the leader that we need in this locker room. Show me that this is your team now from a leadership standpoint as the quarterback, and that you're not going to be somewhat intimidated by an OBJ, and you're still going to throw the ball to the open receiver, whether it's Landry, OBJ, or whoever. That, if I see that from him, that'll be huge. And then manage the game. He managed, I mean, he threw for a lot of touchdowns without OBJ too, but he also managed it in that he didn't throw the interceptions, didn't make the mistakes. Do that, because we are going to be a run-heavy team. So you manage the game, don't make the mistakes. Last year they were third in rushing in the NFL, but they were a bottom 10 passing game. If he just gets up to the middle of the pack in terms of passing yardage, touchdowns, and things like that, to go along with that running game, then you'll see a team that could win the AFC North. And I'm not going to, look, if they get to the playoffs and lose in the first round, I'm not necessarily holding that against Baker. I'm more looking at his performance, and if he gets us there, then I think you can look at him as he's your franchise guy and sign him to a long-term deal.
Here's what I love about this question. Like, Jared Goff got the Rams to the Super Bowl, and he lost the Super Bowl, and then they paid him, okay? Dak Prescott has not gotten to a conference championship game. They paid him. Carson Wentz does not have one playoff win. They paid him, and now Wentz is gone. Goff is gone. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo got to the Super Bowl, and now the 49ers are moving on. So this idea that Baker has to get to some arbitrary round in the playoffs, I love this question from the producers, because it's like, well, what if Baker puts up ridiculously good numbers, the defense stinks, because, by the way, guys, Jadeveon Clowney, fourth team in 4 years, like, I know he was a #1 pick, but the injuries have caught up with him. Like, what if the Browns defense lets down Baker? Do we not pay him? Lamar Jackson has an MVP award and can't really get to the conference championship game. Do we not pay him? Like, it's very difficult to quantify who's worth what. Like, LeVar, you might think X, Dak Prescott, you got to give him $40 million. Okay, well, I kind of think Baker Mayfield was really good last year. I know they ran the football. He beat the Steelers because they turned the ball over 15 times in the playoff game. Like, this is such a good and difficult question because I don't think Baker knows what he has to do. Let's just remember this, LeVar. Baker Mayfield had two pretty awful coaches to start his career. Then he gets Kevin Stefanski, makes the jump to light speed. They get to the playoffs, and oh yeah, without Odell Beckham, and they win a round. So I think Baker's doing what he's doing. I'm pretty impressed with his jump. I just don't think you can pay the guy like $40 million. And, I didn't want to pay Dak, and we'll see how that works out.
I'll say this, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here, all right? Here's a bold prediction on Undisputed right now. Baker Mayfield will play at a level, in my opinion, my estimation, I'm looking at him being a possible MVP candidate for next season. I have never looked at Baker Mayfield as a possible MVP guy. I'll even go as far as to say he will be in the top 2 of MVP candidates for next season in the National Football League. Now, with that being said, I agree with you, J-Mac. It should not be qualified by how far you go because guys like Dak Prescott haven't gone far and have been paid. I think it's been established that at some point, once the market is set, you get paid, whether you've accomplished or not. But I will also say this, a qualifier for a Goff, a qualifier for a Wentz is the fact that they went to a Super Bowl. that is 100% a qualifier. So regardless of them getting let go after the fact, going into it, you want to know why it took so long for Dak Prescott?